Oh yeah, part two. Nah, part two. Whew. Part two of the musical. Ooh, damn, that shit my head. Part two of the musical was uh fuck. What the musical was what the tsunade did the fuck? What the tsunade seduce my little nigga? What's that nigga name? But Naruto. Shit, I keep forgetting. Sorry, my bad. Okay. What if Naruto? Well, what if tsunade seduce Naruto part two? I'm probably gonna make What if Naruto was a Sex Okage final after I make this, or I might not. Shit, I really don't know what I'm gonna do after this. Yeah, I'm gonna, you know me. I'm gonna just want to have fun. I'm playing. JK, like, no, I'm playing. But yeah, anyway. Oh shit. Anyway, yeah. So we start off where like we start off where let's see we start off where we left off. I'm pretty sure where Izuku my goddamn Naruto shit his name is Naruto. Where dude Naruto I think he grips Naruto's cheeks and widen and starts burning them. As she stop it, as she starts burning a little bit, as Naruto says, "You want to say that last night though?" She says, "I was drunk, you idiot." And he says, "Nah, you wasn't drunk." He says, "Nah, you wasn't drunk. You seduced me, didn't you?" As she blushes, saying, "Let me go before I hit you." As he says, "Hit me then. I dare you to." As she doesn't do anything. As Naruto says, "That's what I thought." As he says, "You my bitch now, nigga." Yeah. He says, you know what? If I ever watched the Blood Shinobi, if I ever seen his YouTube channel, he did something similar to this. So, I ain't gonna copy shit. But I take a few ideas from that. I ain't gonna say nothing, but, yeah, man. Nah, I'm gonna try to make it original. I'm gonna try to make it, yeah. Wait a damn minute. Did he pick up he might be? Shit, I don't even fucking know. Show your body. Oh, and this one, Orochimaru. I'm gonna show y'all what Orochimaru look like. Yeah, I'll show y'all later. I'm gonna show y'all later. Alright, I'm gonna show y'all later. She a female in this one? Or, yeah, Orochimaru female in this one. So I'll show y'all what she look like later. Cause, oh my god, I seen that picture. I was like, hallelujah. Alright, let me chill. But yeah. As Naruto basically, as Naruto says, or, let's get to Shizune, my boy Jiraiya. As she seduces Shizune, after they get done having, after she wakes up, she says, shit, he was so small. Like, oh my god. Like, as she wraps herself around with her robe and goes to Tsunade's room. As basically goes to Tsunade's room. As Jiraiya says, "Hey, where are you going?" As she says, "You want to go for another round?" As I'm sorry for my Jiraiya fans out there, but I got to do this. Plot reasons. But she says, "Listen, Jiraiya, that was a mistake. Plus, you're small as shit, so." As who is Jiraiya's parents? Were they ever introduced to Naruto? I never thought of that. I know. What about Orochimaru? Is he just an artificial creature that came out of nowhere? Or am I just not thinking this? Anyway, let me get back into the... What if... Anyway. As Izuku... Izuku says, he says, hey, He says, hey, how about we go further around? And he says, or you just give me a blowjob because I have to go meet up with my sensei soon. And she says, sure, you'll be back, right? And she says, yeah, G, I'll be back. I'm like, I fucking climb out, tell like that, boy. I shoot you in your fucking head, bro. Bust your fucking head. Alright. As she says, fine. As Shizune, I see, I want to give her a paper style so she could just slide under the door. Because I really don't feel like Naruto going to unlock that bitch. Matter of fact, that bitch was unlocked. Yeah. As Naruto, as she's basically giving Naruto sloppy globber. Sloppy nobber. Basically Naruto basically, he says, shit, tsunade, slow down. As she goes faster. As basically touching the back of her throat. As he comes inside of her. And she swallows everything with the, as he says, damn it, why are you sucking so hard? I already came inside your mouth. As she says, I want every drop. As he says, is that your, as she turns around, Tsunade turns around, seeing Suzune, and she like, damn. She like, yeah, mama. Shizune says, what just happened? As Naruto says, he says, hey, Tsunade, we have time, right? As she, listen what I'm about to say. She looks at her watch and says, yeah. I know it's not my watch back in Naruto, but it is what it is. Well, no, she doesn't do that. No. I have to actually stay on. Yeah, I have to actually stay. Yeah. She says, yeah. She says, yeah, we have time. Saying clock jutsu as the clock pulls up and, its time is there. So, yeah. As they, it goes to the, as he says, alright then, how about he says, alright, since we have time, how about I fuck you with your assistant? Freaking deacon league. Nah, freaking league. Freaking league. Alright, let me check. But yeah, as Shizune declines, because Jiraiya, it wasn't nothing that dude, like, why? It's my boy. I did it to him, so I can't say that shit. Anyway, she says, no, you're a little kid. As she says, she says, Tsunade says, fine, it's fine with me. As she says, but, oh, and by the way, the Chias, the Chias are wiped out. Itachi is a female, basically all the Akatsuki is a female, besides, Pain, and, Kakazu, and Zetsu, and, that other nigga with the bones and shit. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It look like that nigga, he got like a rib cage, that nigga. Orochimaru's the matter of fact, no, Orochimaru's, yeah, she still betrayed the, Akatsuki. Matter of fact, she's a good guy, so. But cause she betrayed the Akatsuki, just cause she's a legendary Sonic, she said it wasn't right. The person that attacked the Third Hokage village was actually, they say my nigga, he was fucking a random nigga, shit. A random nigga who do the Reaper Death, let's say that, yeah. But he got his ass whooped and he got smoked by Kakashi Sensei. No, by Naruto. But no, it was by Kakashi. But Naruto, basically stole all his glory. Let's say that. But Kakashi really doesn't care. So yeah. As she says, when are we gonna start? As He says well now. He says now, of course, as he looks at her, or she looks at. She says, she says, she says, huh? She says, all right. She Naruto says, took that ass up. Stop playing. No. But yeah, as Naruto, he says, he says, he says, but I want to taste her pussy first. Pointing at Shizune. As she says, no. As she says, Tsunade, how could you allow this? He's Jiraiya's student. As, as he says, she's Jiraiya's student. As, he says that, as she says that, Naruto says, yeah, yeah. As Shizune says, no, Tsunade, you can't be okay with this. With, she says, Tsunade, you can't be okay with this. As she says, as she's already, sucking Naruto off again. As she says, how could she be okay with this? As she says, no, I'm not doing this. Only reason in her head she don't want to do this is because Jiraiya. Because he's, he wasn't up to standards. So yeah. But after he, or not after, but yeah. As she says, basically, as she says, how big, as she says, trust me. My nigga packing. Not to basically, she basically started gagging. She says, it's still growing in my, she says, it's still growing in my mouth. As Naruto, oh shit, my bad. As Naruto, says, he's, oh shit. Naruto says, shit, I keep fucking hiccuping, man. Damn. My bad, I keep hiccuping. That's fucking hiccups. Anyway, we start, yeah, so Naruto, she says he's up to standards and starts gagging on Naruto's dick. As Naruto says, come here. He says, pointing at, like, basically, I don't know what this shit's called. Basically getting his finger and, like, y'all know what I'm trying to do, man. He basically got his finger and just basically told her to come here. As she goes over there. And, yeah. As Izuku, as Naruto says, huh? He says, come here. As she goes over to him, he says, stop. So now you're doing a good job. Keep doing that. As she says, thank you. As, basically, she, yeah, saying thank you. She basically goes, like, faster. As, basically, Shizune basically sit on Naruto's face as she's, like, eating her out. As she, she says, wait, what did she say? No, she starts moaning and shit like that. As, yeah, she starts moaning and shit like that. As, Izuku basically, Naruto, no. As Naruto basically, he basically says that you know, he basically says that he basically Naruto says that, you know, she tastes good and shit like that. As Naruto, she just thinks as basically Naruto comes inside of Tsunade's mouth as Shizune comes on Naruto's face. As this happens, Izuku. Sorry if you're anything in the background. You better kill him, bro. But sorry if you're anything in the background. But yeah. But yeah, as Izuku said shit, as he says shit, as he says, yo pussy tastes really good and Tsunade your head. It's off the chart. As she says, thank you, master. As you know. Ooh, she didn't even go say so. Hey, let me chill. I can't steal my ideas that I got from my other episode. Yeah. But yeah, as Izuku, as he says now, as they both he says lay on the bed. And he just lay in the bed. As they both lay in the bed. They don't even know what to do. As they took their asses up in the air. As Naruto basically started fingering Tsunade. No. I don't care. Tsunade says he starts fingering Tsunade. Make it for me. He basically starts fingering her and Tsunade, and yeah, and he puts his dick inside of Shizune, and as basically, you know, he starts fucking Shizune, as Tsunade is saying, yeah. Yeah. He says, shit. Actually, no. He's fucking Shizune and fingering. Basically, he's fucking Shizune and fingering Tsunade at the same time. As this happens, Tsunade says, he comes inside of Shizune, and she says, give me your dick, please, please, please. As, say less. As Jiraiya walks into the room, to see basically his fucking his crush getting fucked by his student, as his dreams are broken. Sorry for my Jiraiya fans out there. I mean, I'm a Jiraiya fan, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, just anyway. Level up to EM2 is real good. I promise you. Use my class. But anyway, he says Izuku says that he says huh as he grabs when he says she turns around seeing Jiraiya there walking out. And she says, sorry, sensei, as he starts fucking Tsunade harder, as he basically fingering Suzune till she comes. As she comes, and Naruto says he basically comes out on her hand, as he says wow, as she says, did I do good? As Naruto basically panting, saying, did I do good? As Naruto says, yeah, you did perfect. Yeah, saying yeah. As that happens, after that happens, let me say that. After that happens, let's say that, are you stupid? Anyway, he walks outside and he says, "Hey, Sensei." As he basically looks at him and says, "Come on, Naruto. We're just going to." He says, "I'm going to take you back to the village." As Naruto says, "Why?" As he says, "You know why." He says, "No, no, no." Naruto says, he says, "Sensei." He says, "Sensei, just because I did something, you can't let that affect my training. You have to train me." As Tsunade says, "If you want to train me, I will." As Naruto says, Naruto, he thinks about this. He thinks about this. As he says, "Yeah, Jiraiya." He says, "Yeah, Jiraiya Sensei, I'm sorry, but," he says, "You're not up to my standards. I'm just too good." He says, "I'm just too good of a shinobi for you." As as basically he says, "I'm too good of a shinobi for you." Basically, body flickering to Shizune, body flickering behind body flickering behind Shizune and Tsunade grabbing the cheeks. As as she says as Shizune says Shizune says she says she says, "Naruto, I'm still dripping from," as he says, "You'll be fine." As he says, "You'll be fine." Um basically, you know, basically saying you'll be fine and telling her she don't gotta worry about it. As she says, "But it's seeping through." As he says, "Oh." As he says, "You're wet, aren't you?" As she says, "Well, no shit, idiot." She says, "Well, no shit, idiot." As Naruto basically, he says, "Would you talk to your mother with that mouth?" Focus. Look at him. Naruto says, "Oh, so we're getting disrespectful now." Okay. As basically he says, he says, "Hey," he says, "Hey, you should be respectful to your master," but he says, "But since you're not, I guess I'll just have to punish you," shrugging his shoulders. As Naruto, as he basically shrugs his shoulders, Naruto basically says that, he says, he says, no, no, he just walks off. He just walks off, gripping Shizune and Tsunade's cheeks. As as basically that happens, basically, yeah, as Jiraiya goes back to the village, basically becoming the Hokage. No one will. As they both like, "Why did you welcome the Hokage now?" As he says, "Well, my because I want to." As he says, "Where's Naruto at?" They all say, "Where's Naruto?" As he says, "Naruto, he's training with Tsunade now." As he says, "You let him steal your student?" As he says, "Shut up." As she like, "Oh yeah, shit, nigga, I ain't doing nothing. That was all you. I don't know what he did to you, but hey, he ain't do it to me. Now you better watch your mouth. I smack it." Nah, I'm fine. But yeah, as that happened, Izuku basically says, or not. If I'm saying Izuku, I'm sorry. Naruto says, he says, "Yeah, I guess." As he sighs, looking at, basically just, oh shit, basically just looking at, what's that, I don't know what they call them, you can jump, quick A. Basically the council, the council member. Sorry, that shit, I'm not done. To me forever. Basically, yeah, the council. Basically them. As yeah, as Jiraiya's high. Let's get Tsunade and Naruto. And Shizune. As Naruto, Shizune, and Tsunade basically on the journey. As she says, where are we? She says, hey Naruto, do you know where we're going? As he says, yeah. To slay these hoes? No, but yeah. He says, yeah. You'll find out when we get there. Time skip. They arrive at their destination. As ain't gonna say which village it is. Hey, ain't saying that. But all I'm saying is, he ain't gonna say that. They arrive at a village. As everyone looks at Tsunade saying, "Oh, it's the legendary what motherfucker? What the fuck it is? Oh, I forgot. I forgot. It's not like a village. It's like let's say it's a town." As she says, "Oh, legendary." He says, it's the legendary Sunny. That's what it is. Saying, "Oh my God, it's the legendary Sunny." I can't believe she's in that village, along with her famous apprentice Shizune. And who's that little boy? She says, "Hey kid, I don't think you should be by them. They're way too far from you." As Naruto says, "Shut up." He says, "Shut up." It smacks him away. As he smacks him into a wall. As he says, "No." He says, "No." He says, "No." Not that it's just not that it's just actually no. He walks into the Hokage's office saying, "Hey." He says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while." As he says, "How do we get that out of the pistols? Doing with those dual pistols ours? Doing with those dual pistols?" I'm bad. Anyway, he says, Naruto basically says that, that shit. He basically says that shit, what does he say? Let's say that he says I don't know what he says. I don't know what he's going to say. Yeah, he says no long time no see. As the Hokage says, "Oh wow," he says, "Oh wow, I can't believe it's you, Naruto." Oh, and Tsunade, as she says, as Tsunade says, "Hi, Orochimaru." Yes, that bad bitch is a motherfucking. Oh, wait, let me show you the picture first. Hold on, I'm gonna show you the picture. Anyway, this is what Orochimaru looks like. So yeah. She's fucking fun. I'm trying to fuck this. But yeah, she's a MILF, so yeah. Alright, yeah, she's a MILF. She a badass MILF. Anyway, yeah. She could be the baddie. She might be the main. Like a lot. Yeah. Anyway. Naruto basically says that. He says, oh, God damn. He says, oh, wow. He says, oh, wow. Your body is enlarged. He says, your body is enlarged. And she says, thanks. I don't know what I should say about that. And she says, I heard you were coming with Jiraiya. Where's Jiraiya? As, she says, Jiraiya, he went back to the Leaf Village to become the Hokage. As he says, oh, I thought he didn't want to become Hokage. As he says, yeah, but
hey, you saw him up there in the window?
He says, yeah, but some things happened. He just wanted to become Hokage. I don't know why. She says, oh, and he left me. So Tsunade. He says she left me, he left me, so Tsunade took me in, and basically, yeah.
Oh!
Why is so loud? Damn. Sorry. Okay. 10 o'clock at fucking night. Brother's talking as loud as he fucking can. Hell.
Yo, why is there only 3 of us?
Stop talking so loud.
If we had extra 8.
Anyway, my nigga. Basically, he says shit. As he says, hey. He says shit. Orochimaru, could you come here for a second? As he says, she says, okay. As she orders one of her guards to basically take a role for her and shit like that. Substitute her for her. As they, obey her, saying yes, no. As Izuku basically goes to, he says here, as he grabs her hand and about to look at her. As he says, what did you want to show me here? As he pushes her on the bed, as he says, now, I see the way you've been looking at me. And you want this dick, don't you? As she says, what? No, you're a kid. Get out of here. As he says, you sure? As, she says, yeah, sure. As he says, he gets on top of her. As he says, basically he's hard now. As he says, but your body is amazing. As she says, fine. He says, fine then. How about we get some, I think it's called Twisted. How about we play Twisted? As she says, okay, fine. As she says, but you can't be doing anything creepy. As she says, you can't be doing any freaky stuff. Actually, no, she doesn't say it. She says, okay, with the grin on her face. As Naruto says, now, her tongue might be sloppy good. Like, shit, I'm trying to get some of that. But yeah, basically, yeah. As that happens, Izuku, Naruto says, he says, well, now, she's on that color. As he spins the world cheating, just trying to get under her legs. As he's basically, like her pussy's basically in his face. As she's basically like really embarrassed. As Naruto says, none of my planet work. As he basically lifts his head up and starts looking it. As she says, what are you doing? As he says, what do you mean? Focus on the game. As she starts looking at hard, he starts looking at more and more. As she says, Naruto, stop it. And says Naruto, stop it. And yeah. As Naruto says, but I'm not doing anything. As she says, what? Could it be that my mating season has come? As Naruto says, no, this all me, so you talking. And he says in his head though. As yeah. As she says, Naruto, if you're touching me, stop. As he says, what are you talking about? As he says, it's your turn to go. He says, look, acting confused. As she says, okay. As let's say she get around the fucking color. As Naruto, she moves there, and Naruto says, alright. She says, alright. She says, hey. She says, Naruto says, Naruto says, shit. He says, oh. She says, she's dripping wet. As Naruto basically start, looking her up as Naruto, yeah, she's looking her up. As As he says shit. He says shit. She says almost as good as tsunade. I mean, Shizune. Sorry. As Naruto. She says Naruto. Now I know that's you. As he says, it's not me. I don't even know what you're talking about. As he says, is basically he takes some more moves, and basically, and basically, he takes a couple more moves, and basically, you know, basically her ass is like damn near on his dick, but it's not. As he says, all right, my turn, and then Naruto says, he says now, I see, as he says, all right, as Naruto basically said, all right. He says, all right, grabbing Orochimaru's female's Orochimaru's ass. As she says, Naruto, stop it. I don't want to. As Naruto says, now. He says, now, that's my last time. I'm going to leave since you keep blaming me for something I'm not doing. As Naruto says, as she's like, is he doing anything? You know, she's like, no, now I know you're doing it. As Naruto says, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave. As she says, wait. As Naruto says, if you keep blaming me, I'm gonna leave for something I didn't do. As she says, okay, I don't think it's you. It's just something's going on with my body. I feel like someone's touching me. As she says, Naruto says, yeah, that's me. I didn't put my top. But yeah, as she she says she said, okay. She says, or Naruto, not Naruto. Naruto says that that basically she's like them. Then who is it? What's happening? As basically Naruto, he says, "Psych, it was me." As she turns around to find Naruto prowling over her, as he basically starts gripping her titties. As he says, with this erotic body, you must have wanted me to do something with it. As she says, no, no, don't. As
Better run.
as Naruto,
Right there.
as Naruto basically,
What you gonna got hella recoil?
yeah, as Naruto basically says, he basically says that
And now,
he says, okay, let's start over. He apparently what type of okay, as she says, what are you doing? And she starts gripping her, saying, with this erotic body, you must want me to touch you. As she as Naruto, as she says no, as obviously lying, she just too embarrassed to say it. As Naruto says, just look at you, you're a blushing mess. As he basically starts gripping her nipple, squeezing her nipples and shit like that. As he says, basically, he says, I'm pretty tired. Could you do all the work? As she says, I can't take it anymore. As she says, fine, yeah, sure. As she basically started riding Naruto. Riding that bull? No. Yeah. As Naruto As Naruto says, he says, what? He says, huh? He says, huh? He says, huh? As she sits on top of him, on his dick. As she sits on his dick. Basically riding it. As Naruto comes inside of her, after a couple minutes, and she basically, she basically moaned and shit like that. As Naruto, he says, shit. As he says, how are you this wet? As she says, a natural instinct, I guess. As she says natural instinct, I guess. As she basically just, she started riding Naruto harder. As Naruto says, shit, slow down a little bit. As she says, your cock is massive. As she says, cock is massive. As she says, and I want all of it. I want to swallow it too. As Naruto says, he says, fine, if you want to do all of that, then he says we'll have time later, but as she basically, he says we'll have time later, but don't but I have to get back to with Tsunade on our journey. As he says, you care to come with me? As she looks at him, saying, of course. As that's what I think. I think I'm gonna end it off right here. As she says, of course, they teleport back to the fucking whatchamacallit. They teleport back to I forgot what it's called, my bad. To the Hokage office. As Naruto basically says that, he says, oh, wow. Huh. He says, bro, that was good. As he's sighing, as Tsunade says, Naruto, are you okay? As Naruto says, yeah, I'm fine. Basically saying, yeah, he says, I'm fine. As he basically, he says, what did you guys do? As he says, nothing. I just talked to her about if she wasn't okay with my journey, and she didn't have to join. As she says, did she tell her about? As he says, no, she just says, okay. Thinking that, just saying, okay. As Naruto says that, let's say that, I said I was going to leave it off here. I'm going to add a little bit more though. But yeah, as Naruto says, okay. Or as they say, now, who's going to watch over this for the Red One? As he says, the journey won't be that long, right? As he says, oh, no, it'll probably take years. As she says, as she picks she says, I want you to be a Hokage when you grow up, picking one of her younger, stronger students. As she, she says, picking one of her younger, stronger students. As she basically just says, she basically looks at, oh shit, scratch my arm, my bad. Alright, she basically looks at, he's, no, She basically looks. Orochimaru basically looks at Naruto, telling him that, telling him that. No, Shizune says this. Shizune says she's still wet. Couldn't handle it. And he says, of course, as he says, mostly shadow clones. Nah, what? Okay, game baby, but I'm shadow clones. But yeah, anyway, anyway, basically Naruto just Naruto basically, he he basically just he basically just um just matter of fact, she says I'm still wet from last time. Could you handle it? As Naruto says, of course. And that's where I'm really winning it off at. That's how I should have left it off at. So yeah. Yeah. Hope y'all like this part better than the first part. I know the first part was, kind of funky. But yeah. 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 Hope y'all liked it.